Hello, can you hear me? Pratish, Anmol, can you hear me? Pratish, Anmol, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Today we're going to discuss about the last chapter, that is chemistry in everyday life. So we'll start here now with chemistry in everyday life, right? First of all, I'll give you first of all I will give you brief introduction, the content part of this chapter. Then we'll go for multiple choice question of this chapter, right? Chapter name is chemistry in everyday life, where we are using chemistry in our daily life from the morning to the evening. From everything that we are using in our surrounding, in our daily life, is all chemicals, right? Starting with your toothpaste, that is also chemical. Toothbrush is a polymer. The food you take is also chemically like carbohydrate, protein, fats. What you wear is a polymer, right? If somebody has some medical problem, then medicines, they are also the product of the chemistry here, right? We call it biochemistry, pharmaceutical chemistry. Then in our food, we are using some preservative, artificial sweetener, right? All that are chemicals. And then for the washing purpose, we use soap and detergent. That is also chemical. So chemistry is working in all areas of our life. So today I'm going to discuss some important aspects of chemicals that we are using in our daily life. In this chapter, we'll be discussing first of all about drugs and medicines, then discuss about the food additives, discussed about food additives, then we discuss about like soap and detergents. Three important topics are there in our syllabus that we'll discuss in detail. Number one, drugs and medicine. Number two, food additives. Number three, soap and detergent. That's it. So, starting with drugs. What are drugs? I'm not talking about the drugs that people use for like they get addicted to it, right? I'm not talking about drugs, but I'm talking about drugs which are used as a medicine, right? Which are for use for the purpose of the diagnosis, prevention, and relief or cure of a disease. Where we use number one, diagnosis of a disease. Number two, prevention. Number three, relief or cure of any disease. The purpose of the drug is this thing only, right? So I'll be discussing different types of drugs that we use in our daily life. First of all, I'm going to discuss about antipyretic. What are antipyretics? These are the chemical substances used to lower the temperature of the body, lowers the body temperature. It means due to some fever, the body temperature rises. To cool the body or bring to the normal temperature, we use some medicines, we call them as antipyretics. For example, we have an aspirin. Note down these examples here. Paracetamol, phenacetin, then we have a salicylic acid, right? Not salicylic, this is not salicylic. These are three important medicines that we use in as antipyretic. Note down aspirin, paracetamol, or phenacetin. Note it down. I'm stopping sharing for some time. Yes. So Ashmat, Gopika, Praveen, Anmol. Um, Note down each and everything that I'm discussing now, right? I'm discussing about the chemistry in our daily life, where we are using it. First, we have discussed started with the drugs and medicines. It lowers the body temperature. Antipyretic. Antipyretic are those chemical substances which lowers the body temperature. Aspirin, paracetamol, phenacetin. These are the chemicals that lower the body temperature. First of all, I'm discussing about aspirin, right? Aspirin chemical name is 2-acetoxybenzoic acid. You should know the structure here. 2-acetoxybenzoic acid. Note down the structure. 2-acetoxybenzoic acid. Second is we have here is a N. It is a 4-acetamidophenol. Acetamidophenol. This is a paracetamol. Note down the structure here now. Then we have next the phenacetin. Phenacetin is here we have an ether NCO. This is known as a 4-ethoxy acetanilide. Acetanilide. For ethoxy acetanilide. Note it down. Now talk about next one is the analgesics. Analgesics are the chemicals which are used to relieve pain. It relieve from pain without causing any impairment of consciousness, mental confusion, incoordination, or paralysis. Without doing anything, without disturbing the nervous system, if any compound relieves the pain, they are called as a analgesic. These analgesics are of two types. Number one, non-narcotic, and second is the narcotic. Narcotic drugs are like addiction causing. They cause addiction. But these are non-narcotic are non-addictive. Non-addictive. Narcotic drugs are addictive in nature. So first of all, I'm discussing about non-narcotic drugs which do not cause any addiction. We have some example of non-narcotic drugs like we have aspirin. This aspirin is used as an analgesic as well as antipyretic both. It's a 2-acetoxybenzoic acid. Second is the naproxen. Third is the ibuprofen. Ibuprofen. IBRU. Ibuprofen. No, no. Ibuprofen. Next we have a declonifex sodium. Uh, Declonifex sodium. These are normally used antipyretic. Analgesic. Analgesic means which relieve from pain. Any pain, maybe muscle pain, maybe bony problem, pain, or any pain in any part of the body. They relieve from the pain. These are non-narcotic drugs. When I say non-narcotic, it means they do not cause any addiction. These are called as the non-narcotic drugs. Next, we have a narcotic drugs. Narcotic drugs are those which causes a addiction. It means if a person takes up this medicine like narcotic drug, it will give some relief from the pain. But as the effect of that medicine is over in the body, the pain again arises, or the person may feel that he must take that medicine again. Right? Addiction is what there is the addiction, right? That is called non-narcotic drugs here. For example, we have a morphine, codeine, then we have heroin. These are narcotic drugs, but these are also used in medicine also, but in very low dose, very less amount. Very less amount. They are used in there for relieving from pain. It is given to the patients post-operative, right? Just after the surgery, person when it comes out of the anesthesia, he might feel some pain in the body where the cuts have been made. So morphine injection is given so that he may not feel the pain, along with the other medicine that are healing him, healing the wound. So post-operative pains they are used. They're also given for the cardiac pain because the heart pain is very, very like it's very problematic. So people who are having some heart problem, they are also given these medicines here in the form of the codeine or heroin or but in very low dose, very, very low dose. And also given to the women for or before the delivery of a child, they may feel some lot of problem with lot of fear, pain, right? During the delivery of a child by the women, they may feel a pain, right? They'll feel a lot of pain. So to relieve from the pain, such morphine is given or codeine is given, but low dose. It's not a very heavy dose. They do not get addictive to it, but they get relief from the pain. So these are the narcotic drugs. Then we have a tranquilizer. Tranquilizers are the chemical substances which are used for the treatment of stress, fatigue, mental disease. These are called the tranquilizers, right? They include the sleeping pills, they include the psychotherapeutic drugs, right? Psychotherapeutic drugs. Now I'll be giving you those examples. What are those tranquilizers? We have Ipronizid, Ipronizid, Phenelazine. It is called as a Nardil. Ipronizid or Phenelazine. Chlorodiazepoxide, Meprobamide. These are all tranquilizers. Meprobamate. Not on these all tranquilizers which we give to the patient for sleeping, for mental disease, to cool them, to right. Meprobamate. Next we have barbituric acid, barbituric acid. Then we have a luminal. Then we have a seconal. We have equanil. All these are barbituric acid. All these are tranquilizers. We have Valium, Veronal, serotonin. Note down these examples. Note it down, everyone. I have stopped sharing for some time. Yes, are you getting me what I am teaching you right now? Vipin, Revantika, right, Anmol, right, perfect. Okay, I'm sharing it again. If you find any doubt that you want to ask something, just share it with me. You can turn on the mic and ask me. Then I'm coming to the next category of the medicine that is called the antiseptic, also called as the disinfectants, antiseptic or disinfectant. First of all, I'm talking about the antiseptic compounds, which are used to kill or prevent the growth of the microorganisms, right? Which are used to kill or prevent the growth of the microorganisms is called an antiseptic. For example, we have a furacin, we have a soframycin, we have a Dettol. Dettol is a mixture of chloroxylenol and terpinol. And then we have a bithionol. These are used in medicated soaps, medicated soap for some skin disease they are used. Then we have a tincture of iodine, tincture of iodine. This is also an antibiotic, antiseptic. Then we have an iodoform. It is also an antibiotic, antiseptic powder. Then we have an hydrogen peroxide. It is used for the ear and eyes, for the infection in ear, in tooth, in then we use a cellule. It is used in the intestinal antiseptic. Then we have potassium permanganate. Then we have an amyl metacresol. We have a genetin volet, genation volet. Then we have methylene blue. These are all the antiseptic or disinfectant. Have you noted down all this? Now I'm talking about particularly about the disinfectant. Disinfectant are also killing the microorganisms, but we use it on the inanimate substance, right? Non-living substance, like for cleaning the floor, table, anything that if you want to wash. Disinfectant, disinfectant, which are used to kill the microorganisms. They cannot be applied on the living tissues. They cannot be applied on the living tissues. For example, we have phenol, right? Phenol is a good disinfectant. We use it for washing our floors. When the concentration is less than 1%, maybe 0.2%, it acts as an antiseptic. But when the concentration is 1%, it will be used as a disinfectant. It means in that high concentration, it is used as disinfectant. In the low concentration, it is used as an antiseptic. Then we have a Cl2, chlorine gas. We use it to clean the water, making it fit for drinking water. So all the microorganisms are killed in water. Then we have sulfur dioxide for sterilizing and prevention of squashes. For sterilizing, sterilizing anything, and also the preservation of the squashes. We use the sulfur dioxide. Then we have thymol, THYMOL. It is used as a powerful disinfectant. We have a cresol in soapy water. It is commonly called as Lysol. It's a disinfectant. You know, the commercial product is also there, Lysol, but its name is LIZOL. Commercially, it is called LIZOL, Lysol. But practically, it is a cresol or Lysol, right? We have this compound. Phenol with the CH3 group. These are all disinfectant. We use all this as a disinfectant material to kill the microorganisms on the floor or any table surface, or maybe some utensils maybe we used for like the surgical instruments. We need to sterilize it. Then we have anti-malarial. Now I'm talking about the anti-malarial. I'm stopping sharing for some time. Yes, till now, any doubt, ask me. Gopika, Anmol, Praveen. Any doubt till now? All clear? Then write in the chat. All clear. Okay. Good, Praveen. I'm sharing my screen once again. Let us go ahead with the next topic. Anti-malarial. Right? So the treatment of malaria. It is used in the treatment of malaria. They're called the anti-malarial. We have some example known as a chloroquine, paraquine, primaquine. These are all anti-malarial. Anti-malarials are those which are used for the treatment of malaria. Note down this example: chloroquine, paraquine, or primaquine. Next is now antimicrobial. These are the chemical substances used to cure infections due to microorganisms. To cure the infection due to microorganisms. They work in three different ways. Number one, they can act as a bactericidal. bactericidal, which kill the organisms. Bacteriostatic, which inhibit or arrest the growth of the microorganisms, or it can increase the immunity. It can increase the immunity. Bactericidal, which kill the microorganisms. Bacteriostatic, which inhibit or arrest the growth of the microorganisms, which increase the immunity. Three types of antimicrobial are there. Now, for example, we have salvarsan. These examples you need to remember. We have an azodie, prontosil, sulfanilamide, sulfadiazine. All these are antimicrobial. Just a second, please. Sulfadiazine. Right? Note it down. All this. Now we have some another category of the medicine that is known as the anti-fertility drugs. Anti-fertility drugs that is used to control the pregnancy, right? To control the pregnancy, right? For that we have some oral contraceptives. You know the birth control pills, right? We have some other medicines that which are progesterone derivative. Norethindrone, norethindrone, novestrol, mifepristone. These are all anti-fertility drugs. Just remember these names, note down. In this chapter, it is basically a fact-based questions. It's a collection of fact-based. So first of all, I'm discussing all these facts one by one. Note it down. Now coming to the next part, antibiotic. Antibiotics, which are produced by the microorganisms to kill the other microorganisms. Antibiotics are those chemical substances which are produced by the microorganisms like bacteria, fungus, mold, and that can inhibit the growth and destroy the other microorganisms. These are known as the antibiotic. For example, we have penicillin, We have oflexin, chloramphenicol. We have streptomycin, streptomycin, neomycin. Remember these names first. Then we have this antibiotic are of two types. These antibiotics are of two types. Number one, broad spectrum antibiotic. Other is narrow spectrum antibiotic. Broad spectrum antibiotic are those which are effective against several disease. Which are effective against several disease. It means they can kill different types of the microorganisms. It can kill the both the gram positive and gram negative bacteria. For example, we have a chloramphenicol. This is a broad spectrum antibiotic. For example, we have a typhoid, fever, dysentery, whooping cough, pneumonia. That is a broad spectrum antibiotic which can kill more than one type of the microorganisms, kill several disease causing bacteria. And narrow spectrum antibiotics are which can kill only a particular type of bacteria, right? For example, we have vancomycin, oflexin, we have a diazidrazirin. Right? These are all antibiotic, narrow spectrum antibiotic. And now we talk about antacids. Next topic is antacids. First of all, understand here what is the meaning of the word acidity. In the medical terms, we say a person has some disturbance in the pH on the alimentary canal. If that pH is disturbed, it causes the antacid. It causes the acidity. Right? With that, what happens in the esophagus? There's a burning sensation. Right? In the stomach also there is a heating and irritation. That's what we call acidity. So basically, the pH drops. The H positive concentration increases. For that to normalize the acidic character, we have some compounds which can decrease the acidic character. It means basically to increase the pH, bring it to normal. So basically, what we can do if the H positive concentration increases, we must add there some base. So baking soda, baking soda can be used here. Some salts can be used as a magnesium hydroxide, magnesium carbonate, aluminum hydroxide, magnesium oxide, magnesium hydroxide. They all are right. But these, if you use it directly, but we don't know what is the concentration of the H positive inside the stomach. Inside the stomach, we don't know. So, so these are not used directly. In place of it, what we do is we use those chemicals which basically prevent the release of the acidity, H positive and HCl from the stomach wall. Right. So these are cimetidine. And now talk about those chemicals. Cimetidine, which stop the release of the HCl from the stomach wall. Then we have ranitidine. Ranitidine. It is also called as a Zantac. Then we have a omeprazole. Omeprazole. Then we have lansoprazole. Bromophenramine. These are also used. These are only used as an antacid. They stop the release of the more HCl from the stomach wall. And then person is asked to drink more water so that we can dilute the already present acid that will be excreted out, and more HCl is stopped for some time. That's how we can treat the acidity. Getting me? Till now, any doubt? Ask me now. Yes, anyone having any doubt? Pratyush, Rivantika, any doubt till now? All clear? Everyone? Anmol? Are all of you there with me? Asmat? Okay. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again, and I will not discussing about more about the chemistry in our daily life. First of all, we have now antihistamine. Antihistamine. So, what is this? First of all, understand what is meant by the word histamine. You might have observed that whenever there is a insect bite, maybe honeybee bite, you might have observed this somewhere. That particular part of the body swells. Why it swells? Because basically honeybee has secreted some type of poison inside the body. To stop the spread of the poison inside the body, our body has a defense system. It releases the it releases chemical known as a histamine. What happens there? It blocks the passage of the blood to flow throughout the body, and dilates the muscle, and with that dilation the body, that particular part of the body swells, right? That's the function, to prevent the spread of the poison throughout the body. But now what happens now? When you go to doctor give you two types of medicines. One, that you take it now, and another you have to take it after 4 hours or 5 hours. When you take the first medicine, basically that is an antidote that neutralizes the poison, that does not relieve from the pain, that does not neutralize the acid, the swelling, nothing happens. The pain remains as such for another 5 hours, but the poison is neutralized. And when you take the second medicine, there is antihistamine that neutralizes the effect of the histamine, and immediately the swelling stops, swelling comes down, body is okay now. So the person is given two medicine. First of all, antidote, and second the antihistamine. Right. So that is antihistamine, which acts against histamine. For example, we have a bromophenramine. Brompheniramine. Then we have a terfenadine. Terfenadine. Another one is Benadryl. You know Benadryl. This Benadryl is used in cough syrups. It's an anti-allergic, right? Avil. Avil is also a anti-allergic medicine. Then we have Zeet, Acetadil, right? Forestal. These are all medicine that is used as antihistamine, anti-allergic. Any doubt till now? And now we discuss about the second part of this chapter, that is the chemicals in food. We add some chemicals in food to improve the flavor. Food color, food emulsifier, right? Food emulsifier. Then we have food preservative. I'm coming to the first part of the body as a or the food chemical, food preservative, which are added to the food to prevent and retard the growth of the spoilage of the food, right? And retain their nutritional value. To stop the spoilage, we have sodium benzoate. Then we have a salt of propionic acid and sorbic acid. Propionic acid and sorbic acid. Then we have a potassium metasulfite. Then we have a BHA and BHT, butylated hydroxyanisole and butylated hydroxytoluene. I'm writing a butylated hydroxyanisole, butylated hydroxytoluene, butylated hydroxyanisole and butylated hydroxytoluene. Then I'm discussing about antioxidants, which prevent and retard the oxidative deterioration of the food. Oxidative deterioration of the food. You might have seen that for the packed food, there is a particular shelf life. It is written on the packet of that biscuit or some snacks or whatever we buy from the market in the packet. There is some expiry date that after that you don't eat it, don't consume it. It means during that time period, it keeps the food fresh, or we can consume it. It will not destroy our health. But if you find that the biscuit or anything which has some fats inside it, and the expiry date is over, and if you consume that food, there is a change in the smell and in the taste. Just a second, please. Yes, I'm back now. Antioxidants, which basically prevent the oxidation of the fats and prevent from rancidity. Rancidity is the oxidation of the fats. There we use BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole. We also use sulfur dioxide. We also use sulfite. These are the antioxidants. Now we have artificial sweetening agents. Artificial sweetening agent. These are the chemicals which sweeten the food but don't increase the calories. This can be given to those patients who are suffering from diabetes. Diabetic patients are not allowed to consume sugar, but if the patient want to eat something sweet for the sake of taste only, he can he can enjoy the sweetness, but not by the sugar. There we use artificial sweetener, right? In place of sugar or lactose or honey, we can use artificial sweetener. Number one is a saccharin. Saccharin, that is orthosulfobenzimide. Then we have an aspartame. Then we have allitame. We have sucralose. Sucralose. Note down this. Aspartame has a property that it will get destroyed or will decompose at high temperature. So these are used only with the cold food, like cold soft drinks are there, or any drink, any food that is cold in cold only. It means they decompose at a cooking temperature. So we don't use it for the hot food, but it can be used only the cold food. This allicin has very high potency sweetness, right? It is equal to, if you see the, it is 2000 times more sugar, more sweet as compared to sugar. Sucralose is 650 times more sweet as compared to sucrose. It's very, very high potency sweetness. High potency sweetness. These are the artificial sweetener. So in the food, we have food additives, we have food preservative, antioxidant, and artificial flavors. Artificial sweetening agents. I'm stopping sharing for some time. Okay, now everyone, please let me know. Till now, do you have any doubt? Want to ask anything? Otherwise, write in the chat all clear. Waiting for response. Praveen, Asmat, are all of you there with me? Right, Praveen. Right. Okay. I hope everything is clear till now, right? Okay, great. Now I'm sharing my screen once again. We have now cleansing agent. Cleansing agent. I'm talking about the soap and detergent. First of all, I'm talking about soap. Soap is sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acid. Sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acid. RCOONA, where R is a long chain. R is a long chain polymer, very big chain. For example, we have C15H31 COONA. Then I say it's a sodium salt of palmitic acid. Palmitic acid. PALMITIC. Palmitic acid. Then we have C17H35 COO. You can put here potassium, you can put here sodium. So it is a salt of potassium salt of stearic acid. stearic acid. Then we have C17H33. It is called the oleic acid. You remove the H and put here sodium or potassium, it will become the soap. Soap is a salt, salt of sodium or potassium, salt of these acids, but higher fatty acid. Linoleic acid. Linoleic acid. Now, how to prepare a soap? Soap is obtained from the oils, which are basically triglycerides. Oil contain triglyceride. For example, triglyceride of the glycerol basically. I can say this compound is called as a glycerol. Remember, it is a common name. Glycerol is a common name of this compound. The IPC name of the compound is propane 1,2,3 triol. In place of it, I have an R group now. R group. It's a R is a long chain carbon atom here. For example, here we have a CH2O, then we have a C17H35, O, then we have a C17H35, then we have a CH2O, and then we have a C17H35. This is a tristearate of glycerol. Tristearate of glycerol. Tristearate of glycerol. This is treated with sodium hydroxide. It is heated, and then what I find here is from here the HOH that combines with the CH2 part, and we get here 3 moles of C17H35 COONA plus glycerol. This is the soap. How to get the soap? Then we have types of soap. How to classify the different types of soap? Different types of soap. Number one is the toilet soap. Then we have medicated soap. In the medicated soap, we add some antibiotic, antiseptic, right? Antimicrobial. Then we have a shaving soap. They contain more glycerine, which prevent them from preventing from the drying. So we have shaving soap. Then we have laundry soap. They contain sodium rosinate, sodium silicate, borax, and sodium carbonate all together. That is, they contain fillers like sodium rosinate, sodium silicate, sodium carbonate, borax. Then we have a transparent soap. How to get a transparent soap? You might have seen some soap which are commercially available, but they are almost we can see across it. What we do is we dissolve the soap in ethanol and then we dry it by the evaporation. In the excess of solvent, we get the transparent soap. Then we have floating soap. Then we have soap chips. Different forms are there. Soap chips. Now, soaps are 100% biodegradable. Soaps are 100% biodegradable, right? Microorganisms which are present in the sewage water completely oxidize the soap. They do not cause any pollution. But soap has two limitations. Number one limitation is soaps cannot be used in hard water. Right? For example, we have a RCOONA. What is hard water? The hard water contains magnesium and calcium soluble salts. Suppose magnesium ions are there. So what it does is it replaces the sodium ion, right? It forms insoluble scum. It forms insoluble scum. So with this, what will happen? With this, what will happen? It will not form the leather. It will not form leather, right? It will not form leather. It will not give the form which cleans, or it can also combine the calcium ions. Hard water contain calcium and magnesium ions. So soap cannot be used in hard water. Number two, another limitation is soaps cannot be used in acidic medium. Cannot be used in acidic medium. Why? The acid present in the solution precipitate the insoluble free acid, which either to the fabric and block the ability of the soap to remove oil. Right? So the acid is there, right? So it combines with it, it makes it insoluble, and that insoluble material stick to the fabric, and the ability of the soap to remove the oil or grease is prevented. We call it as a we cannot use it. Now I'm talking about the next topic, that is called a detergent. Detergent are soapless soap. Soapless soap. Okay. Uh, Give me a second. We can first of all start before I start with the topic of the detergent. Let us discuss some questions which are in our assignment. Right? I'm sharing here, and now let us start with these questions first. Just a second, please. Okay. It would be good if you turn on a mic and answer some of these questions here. Which of the following is a hypnotic drug? Answer is luminal. Remember it. Note it down. Hypnotic drug is luminal. Phenolic antibacterial used in the body deodorants. Parachlorometaxylenol. It's a phenolic antibacterial used in body deodorant. Most of the deodorant contain aluminum salts because they act as antibacterial agents. An example of psychedelic agent is LSD. LSD is lethargic. LSD, right? LSD is a drug which gives a false feeling like you're flying, light in weight. Psychedelic agent. Which of the following is a bactericidal antibiotic? Bactericidal. Bacteria means which can kill the bacteria. Ofloxacin. Ofloxacin. Right? Till now, any doubt? Keep on noting down all this question here. Then we have this compound. You know, it's a 2-acetoxybenzoic acid, and it is used as analgesic. Basically, it's a aspirin. It's a structure of aspirin. So it is a analgesic, which is not an artificial sweetener. Which is not an artificial sweetener. Sucrose. Sucrose is a natural sweetener. Alum is used by the dyers for cloth for as a mordant. As a mordant. Which of the following compound is not an antacid? It is a phenelgen. Phenelgen is a tranquilizer. Phenelgen is a tranquilizer. Rentadine, cimetidine, aluminum hydroxide. These are washing soap can prepared by saponification with alkali of which of the following oil? Groundnut oil. Cationic detergent that is used for the in the hair conditioner right? It is the cetryl trimethyl ammonium bromide. Remember it. I'll come to the detergent topic very shortly, more detail. But right now you can remember this cationic detergent that is used in the hair conditioner. Acetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide. Which of the following is true? Polystyrene is used to make non-stick utensil cookware. This is wrong. Polystyrene is not used for non-stick. Teflon is used, right? Rest all the statements are correct. Sulfadiazine is antibacterial. Aspirin is antipyretic. Some disinfectant can be used as antiseptics. Which artificial sweetener contain chlorine? Remember, sucralose. Which of the following is used as antihistamine? Omeprazole is antacid. Chloramphenicol is antibiotic. Northisterone is anti-fertility drug. Now I'm left with the diphenylamine. Diphenylhydramine. Dettol is a mixture of orthocresol and terpenol. Which possess good strength, transparency, and very low porosity. Whiteware. Various phenol derivatives, tincture of iodine, and some dyes like methylene blue are these are antiseptic. Methylene blue, these are antiseptic. Bithionol is an example of antiseptic. This structure that should not be asked question. Phenylene G. It is not a expected question. Not possible to remember that much. Chemical substance used by the insects for communication are called as the pheromones. Any doubt till now? I'm stopping sharing for some time. Have you noted down all these answers? Understanding it? Vipin, Pratyush, Praveen? Okay, Praveen. Right. Right. So I'm continuing with this assignment now. I'm sharing all this my screen and discussing answers of this assignment. Aminoglycosides are usually used as antibiotic. Which type of detergent is used when stearic acid reacts with the polythene glycol? Non-ionic detergent. Detergent topic I'll discuss in detail. Which of the following statement are correct? Before 1970, treatment of acidity is better antacid than in comparison to the sodium bicarbonate? No. This is a weaker base, it's a stronger base. The statement is wrong. Discovery of cimetidine was a major breakthrough for the treatment of hyperacidity. This is good statement, correct one. Darfenidine is a drug which competes. No. Darfenidine is not combined in the binding site. Just a minute, just a minute. 23. This seems to be correct. Antidepressant drugs like Equinil inhibit the growth of the enzyme which catalyze the Degradation of norepinephrine. No, antidepressant has nothing to do with the noradrenaline. Veranol liminal belongs to the aconyl barbiturates. Yes, this is correct. So answer is now 245. D option correct answer. Detergent prepared for the action of sulfuric acid. I'll come to detergent later. Leave this part. I'll come to the question later. Now, come to this question, which is following add nutritive value to food. Fat emulsifier, antioxidant, sweetener, none of this. They don't add any nutrition value. Which of the following compound is anti-fertility drug? Saheli. Aspirin is a antipyretic. Chloromycin, mycetin is an antibiotic. Penicillin is also antibiotic. Saheli is used as a anti-fertility drug. The ninth question. Synthetic detergent. Sulfonamide, sulfonamide act as antimicrobial. Which of the following compound is an antioxidant? Which of the following statement are correct? Antiseptic is not ingested like antibiotics. This is not incorrect. This is not correct. 32. C. Antiseptics are not ingested by antibiotic. 32. C. Sulfur dioxide low concentration used in the antiseptic, whereas high concentration is disinfectant. The statement is correct. 1% solution of tincture of iodine. Yes, this is also correct. So 2, 3, 5. No, not of the estrogen. Leave it. So 2 and 3 is the correct answer. 2 and 3, not the right answer. It should be 2 and 3. 2 and 4. 2 and 4. May B option correct answer. Getting me? Now, come to this question now. Arsenic containing medicine used in the treatment of syphilis. Sarverson. Syphilis is a infection in the reproductive area. So arsenic containing medicine used for the treatment of syphilis. Artificial sweetener which is stable under cold condition is aspartame. Zinc salt used in the deodorant act as astringent as well as antiseptic. Synthetic detergent are more effective in hard water than soft water because their calcium and magnesium salt are water soluble. Antibiotic with broad spectrum act on different antigens. Which of the following is analgesic? Analgesic means painkiller, Novalgine. Which of the following type of drugs reduce fever? Antipyretic. Tranquilizer is used for the mental disease. Antibiotic for the killing of the microorganisms. Antiseptic is a disinfectant either kill or prevent growth from microorganisms. Identify which of the following is not true. Chlorine and iodine are strong disinfectant. No, iodine is not disinfectant. It's antiseptic. Dilute solution or the boric acid and hydroperoxide are strong. No, these are not strong. These are very dilute. Disinfectant harm the living tissues. Yes, it 2% phenol is antiseptic while 1 phenol is a disinfectant. C is a better answer. D option correct answer. D option correct answer. Disinfectant we don't use it even on the living organisms. Medicine which promote the secretion of the urine is called a diuretic. Medicine which promotes the secretion of urine is called diuretic. Saccharin contains carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur, all of this. Which of the following can be possibly be used in analgesic without causing addiction and mood modification? Mean that should not be the addictive one, right? So N-acetyl para-aminophenol. C option correct answer. Which of the following is employed as a tranquilizer drug? Tranquilizer. Valium. Now the iodoform is antiseptic, right? Match it here. Antiseptic. Methyl salicylate is methyl salicylate. Diethyl ether is anesthetic. Hexachloro is a insecticide, right? In pain balm, we use the methyl salicylate. So now check here. One with the B, two with the E, three with the A, and fourth with C. Means option C correct answer. Note it down. Understood? Ask me any doubt if you have any. No doubt. I'm stopping sharing for some time. Yes, till now, ask me. Rivantika, Vipin, all clear? Yes, Pratyush. Any doubt? No doubt. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. I'm now discussing about the detergent, that is a soap-less soap. Soap-less soap. These detergent are of two types. Number one, it is a sodium salt of long chain alkyl benzene sulfonic acid. I'm giving you some examples here. This is sodium para dodecyl benzene sulfonate. Sodium para dodecyl benzene sulfonate. I'm giving you more example here. Draw the structure. This is sodium para to dodecyl benzene sulfonate. Draw the structures here. This is known as a benzene sulfonate. And second is sodium salt of long chain of alkyl hydrogen sulfate. Alkyl hydrogen sulfate. Now it is a straight chain. It is CH3, CH2 whole twice, CH2 10 times, right? Then we have CH2, OSO3Na. This is sodium dodecyl sulfate. sodium cetyl sulfate. Sodium cetyl sulfate. These are not having benzene ring. Sodium stearyl sulfate. Now we discuss about the classification of the detergents. Classification of detergents. Number one, anionic detergent, which contain anionic hydrophilic group, which contain anionic hydrophilic group that is involved in cleansing process. Involved in cleansing process. Involved in cleansing process. For example, if I say I have here sodium lauryl sulfate. Sodium lauryl sulfate. C11 H23 CH2O SO3 Na. You can see if I dissolve in water,